See, you can get away with that stuff when you're not monetized. You can't copyright me if I have no ads. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I like Christmas music, and I like that song, so I put it as my outro. Intro? What the fuck ever. What's up, new guy? I'm the Degenerate 75. I'm a high-limit DFS player who is here to help you not suck so bad at DFS, because if you don't know, this shit be tough. I am here to break down the slate for Saturday, Christmas Eve. Yeah, let's go. Almost hit myself in the eye, which I already did earlier. It really hurts. And we are going to be breaking down the slate and giving you a few ideas. I'll never give you a single fucking pick, because you want to know a little secret, brother? I don't care who you play, but I do want to help you think through the process and help you make the best decisions you can, okay? So by the way, if you're new and you like the cut of my jib, come check out my schedule. It's not very busy here in December because it's just football season, but don't look now. PGA's right around the corner, and if you don't know about fantasy golf, you better be back in the spring, you motherfather. All right, let's get going. Hey, you see this badass sweater right here? In case you want proof, it's right here. I got it. I'm giving it away tomorrow on the 3-game slate tomorrow. I'm going to do another one of these for the 3-game slate. I'm going to give this away to get in the drawing to win this badass sweater. And it is a badass sweater. I'm not going to lie. They also sent some socks and a blanket that were off the hook, but I ain't fucking giving those away. All you got to do, go leave a comment on this YouTube video. Something nice. It's the holiday spirit. If you put something bad, I'll delete it and not put your ass in the drawing. And go like and retweet on Twitter. That'll also get you in there. I'll do a big spinny wheel tomorrow, and the winner will get that sweater. I'll fucking mail it to your ass, okay? There you go. Happy holidays, you motherfathers. Let's get going. We're going to start where we always start, because if you don't know, you need to know. Contest selection. Here you go. 40% in the Big Millionaire Maker tomorrow. Goes to first place. Should you play in this? No, you shouldn't. No, you shouldn't. It's a really bad tournament. If you max enter it, I'll leave you alone. If you're one of those people that say, it's $1 million, somebody's going to win it, well, you're a fucking moron. Don't talk to me. This ain't the channel for you, okay? If you play in this, you can play in it. If you got your $100, you want to blow it every week, okay? It's either that or blowing hookers, and you would rather do it on DraftKings. I respect it. But if you're one of those people that bitches about constantly having to deposit on DraftKings and it's all just a scam, no, you're just a dumbass that plays in the wrong tournaments. Quit doing it, Bob. What I would really encourage you to do tomorrow is, if you're playing $100, really just go try. Put all of your eggs in one basket and go do a $100 single entry. Because you don't have to hit the stone cold nuts to win the damn thing. You just have to have a really good lineup, and you're going to win money that will have your ass dancing naked in the streets on Christmas Eve, which will probably get you arrested, but you won't care because you'll have won a good amount of money playing DraftKings, and you'll have had the sweat. So go do that. Pick your stack and then build your lineup from there, okay? And commit to it and build one single lineup. Instead of throwing 5 lineups in the $20 and taking a swift kick in the nuts, just go put in a $100 single entry. It is such a better way to do it. And in the long term, yes, tomorrow you might not cash. 80% of the time when you play in a single entry, you're not going to cash. You'll be like, well, I lost my $100 anyways. Yeah, but when you hit, you'll actually hit, you donkey dick. And that's what I'm trying to help you do. So don't go toss your 5 lineups in this stupid $20 contest tomorrow. Put in a $100 single entry, okay? There, that's it. If I'm coming off aggressive, it's the Santa hat. It makes me a little toasty. When the big guy gets toasty, he gets a little hot. But if you really want to know what tournament you should play in tomorrow, it's mine, completely free. Winner gets a Millionaire Maker ticket with me that you and I will build together. Split the ticket, split the winnings 50-50. I'd love to ship a $500,000 with you, motherfather. So go play in this. It's on me. Second place, free month on my Discord, which people really fucking love too. So go check it out, you motherfather. All right, hey, while you're here, you can't help but notice the big guy pushing hard to 2,200 subscribers. Why don't you go give me a like, a subscribe, maybe turn on the notifications, because I can't tell you how triggering it is when people tell me, I didn't even know your show was on. YouTube didn't tell me. Well, YouTube fucking sucks. By the way, go tell a friend, because you know YouTube ain't going to share it with anybody. All right, let's start in the first place that is really relevant to start as we get here to late December. Weather matters when it comes to NFL games. If you don't know, if you're new to my channel, you need to know this fact. Wind, rain, snow usually equal about a 3 to 5% decrease in production of NFL games, okay? So if you're not taking those things into account, you literally are already playing at a 3 to 5% edge. You're like, that ain't that much. Well, first of all, moron, it is, okay? Because imagine 200-point lineup, 5% is like another 10 points you could have had. Go see what an extra 10 points would do to your GPP lineups, right? So let's check them out. First of all, Chicago-Buffalo, a game I want to believe because my best balls all have Josh Allen and I want to win all the monies, is not great weather, right? 22-mile-an-hour winds. It's going to be cold. That's not a great scoring environment, right? Now, I will be the first to admit both of these teams are used to playing in the cold and playing in the wind, but still not optimal scoring conditions like, say, a dome, right? Or, fucking South Beach at this time of year. Same thing in Cleveland. We have it's going to be 9 degrees, right? Wait, am I reading this right? Yeah. 27-mile-an-hour winds. That's all that really matters. The temperature doesn't really matter unless it's like negative 40, okay? 27-mile-an-hour winds. Some people have called that gusty. So that is horrific. Not to mention you have 2 slapdick quarterbacks. All right, moving on from there, the Titans. Outside, 14 or 11-mile-an-hour winds. I mean, these are just not great scoring environments. You want to know what's a great scoring environment? Minnesota, because I've heard the Dome is going to be very nice tomorrow. Very lovely. So these things matter. These wind miles an hour. When you start to get over 12 miles an hour, that's significant wind, and it will affect the way the game is played and how the teams are playing, right? The Steelers would be another one, but that's not even on the slate, so we're not going to worry about it. But these are the things you want to look at. Be checking the weather and be checking the injuries leading up to kickoff, because if you're not considering these things in your builds, well, then you're not considering all the factors that you should, and you're being a donkey dick, and I can't stand for that, brother. All right, let's get over to the slate. We are going to be looking at Run the Sims. I think it's the best tool-assisted site out there. Go check it out if you haven't already. We're just going to go game by game. I'm not going to give you a single fucking pick. I'm just going to give you some ideas to think about, okay? You ultimately have to make your own decisions. If you were paying somebody else to make your decisions, you're a dumbass and you're never going to win anyways, okay, brother? So let's get to it. This first game, Houston and Tennessee, we've already said this isn't great weather. Both of these offenses are pretty anemic, and then you factor in that we only have a 35.5 total. If you don't know, that's about as bad of a DFS game as you're going to want to be in. Now, am I telling you to fade this game? Absolutely not. Even these low-scoring games can have guys who are essential to having the nuts lineup, right? So to just scratch this game off, especially with all these low totals we have, I think is a misguided effort. What I'm telling you to do is this game is probably not the best game to go stack. You know what I mean? When I say a stack, I mean a quarterback and 2 pass catchers and then run it back with somebody else. I don't think this is a game you really want to get there because, first of all, both these quarterbacks suck. They don't really pass a lot. They don't throw downfield very much, and they both have run-dominated offenses. So this Houston-Tennessee game, I am staying away from stacking, but that doesn't mean that there's not some great pieces that we can go in here and get some correlation with. Most namely, as you can see, the optimizer loves Derrick Henry this week. The question is, and this is a rule I have followed all year, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. When nobody plays Derrick Henry, I play Derrick Henry. When everybody plays Derrick Henry, I fade Derrick Henry. But honestly, can you think of a better situation than Derrick Henry in a sloggy game versus the Texans? Like, it just seems like worst case scenario, how does he not get 18 points, right? Outside of getting injured. Heaven forbid. All right? These are things you got to consider, but he seems very, very, very safe. I will say this, at 8,600, there are no free spaces this week as far as pay down options, right? There's not that just free square $3,700 guy, and so it makes it really hard to pay $8,600 for a guy, especially if you're trying to get a good quarterback stack. That is the biggest concern you have with Derrick Henry this week, is what he does to the rest of your lineup, which reminds me, hang around until the end of the video and hear my spicy take. Don't leave early, because I got a good spicy take this week that I think you need to hear, but I won't say it till the very end, you motherfucker. Other people in this game that I think are very viable, I think one of these Houston pass catchers could get there. If you're going to play the narrative that Tennessee's going to run the ball and get ahead, I think you definitely want to monitor Chris Moore and Brandon Cooks. They both were limited in practice yesterday, or today, I guess it would be, and they might not be active tomorrow. If they're not active, I think that makes the other one a very good play. If they're both active, well, then you just kind of got to guess. But I think between Dorsett, Cooks, and Moore, one of those guys could be the punt relief option that you need for your lineup, and it will be correlated with Derrick Henry, so that's something to keep an eye on. As far as the quarterbacks, don't do it, Bob. Let's move on to the next game, Atlanta and Baltimore. Typically, anytime you see Atlanta in a game, you got to go, maybe. And to be honest, a Tyler Huntley isn't the most disgusting thing I've ever heard. I just worry about the pace of this game. Are the Ravens just going to get ahead and just simply run the ball, and maybe this is a good J.K. Dobbins game or something like that? Or can Atlanta actually, suck at defense like they typically do and push the Ravens and make them actually score? If you believe that the Falcons can push them, a Tyler Huntley with Mark Andrews and whichever one of the freaking wide receivers you want to play from them, Demarcus Robinson would probably be the best, starts to become a really good stack option, because not only is it one that could go off, it's one that's very affordable and allows you to have pay-up pieces at other parts of your lineup. Not to mention, Drake London has been trending in the right direction. I really do feel like he is kind of a little bit more involved, and at 4,800, he's probably one of the better price-adjusted plays. You can see the optimizer actually says that he is a positive leverage play, meaning that he will be more showing up in the optimizer than he'll be owned, right? So not a disgusting play. Okay, this could be one game that you could consider as maybe like a weird kind of stat game. Moving on, anytime you see Detroit, you got to consider it, but you do need to be aware that Detroit has been a different team on the road this year. When they're not playing at Mile High Stadium, which is their home stadium, where they score like 48 points a game, they also give up 48 points a game. You got to be a little leery of them. But Carolina's defense has not been dominant this year. I think that the sneaky play for the Lions here is maybe not who you're thinking. I think it's actually maybe Jamal Williams or DeAndre Swift. I think they're going to get ahead, they're going to run the ball, and this game is going to be slower. And if you buy that narrative, you really got to think that either Jamal Williams or DeAndre Swift goes off. As far as stacking this game, it actually does have one of the higher totals on the slate due to the crappy weather, and so you can always consider a stack. But the weird thing is, if I were going to stack this game, I think I would actually want to stack the, hold on, let me catch the Sam Darnold side. Oh, sorry, I just threw up on my mouth. Yeah, I think if I had to stack one side, I'm not saying I would. I think I would actually stack the Sam Darnold side just because it's cheaper and the Lions have the best run back options, right? Because they have guys that can really push the pace of play with Amon-Ra St. Brown and DeAndre Swift. Yeah, am I telling you to stack this game? No, I'm fucking not. I'm just giving you some ideas. Ideas? Ideas, brother. Let's move on to the next game. The game that I want to believe in. Why does there have to be weather? My best ball team needs this. It is Buffalo versus Chicago, right? We have the low total. Now, you probably are surprised when you see a 40-point total because Buffalo has consistently been one of the top 3 offenses in the NFL all year, and Chicago has actually been tremendously good at offense for about the past 7 weeks. So you got to say, why is the total so low? And it's very simple. It's the weather, right? The weather there is going to be cold and windy, and they are saying that there's not going to be as many points scored. However, I will say this. Justin Fields is a guy that has home run ability, and he doesn't have to get it done through the air. He can bust. He averaged, a 60-yard run every fucking week. Hold on, let me check my math. Yeah, every fucking week he gets a 60-yard touchdown run. If he can get that, hits one bomb down the field on a broken play, all of a sudden Buffalo's being pushed. And if there's one thing that I am sure of, when Josh Allen gets pushed in games, there is nobody, and I mean no quarterback in the NFL better than him in games where he's getting pushed. When they get pushed, he's almost an automatic 30 burger. So if you think that somehow the Bears can push this might be the one time you'll ever get a Josh Allen stack at maybe under 5% ownership, okay? Yes, I know there's weather. Yes, blah, 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 blah. And I get it. I truly do. I'm not saying it's a good play. I'm just saying this might be the only time all year you'll get a Josh Allen stack at under 5% against a team that might actually be able to push him, right? Even though Justin Fields can barely throw a forward pass, he still somehow finds a way to get the ball in the damn end zone, and that's all we care about. From there, if you are going to play Josh Allen, he has endless amounts of stacks. I think you can get away with running him with 1.5 pass catchers, which basically means one pass catcher like Diggs, Davis, McKenzie, and then a 0.5 is like a half-ass pass catcher, usually a running back, right? I think Singletary or Cook, if you can guess which one of those is going to win the Russian roulette game this week, it's very viable. And don't forget, Justin Fields, everybody's favorite. All of a sudden, we don't like Justin Fields. He's showing up in the optimals 4.5% of the time. That means if you played this slate 22 times, he would be the nuts play one of those weeks. If you play him, yes, he's a little pricey, but the Bills do have some very nice run back options, especially at the running back price, where you're probably going to need to find some punts this week because pricing is tough AF. Moving on, the most disgusting game of the slate, a 31.5-point total. I mean, that might be the lowest total I've seen this entire year. You have New Orleans and Cleveland, who have both been anemic on offense recently. You factor in that we have the horrendous winds in the cold up there in Cleveland. This game just reeks of slogfest. And so most people are just going to completely X this game out, and I challenge you to not completely X this game out. I would not stack this game. I would not be running Deshaun Watson stacks, and I sure as shit wouldn't be running Andy Dalton stacks. But that doesn't mean that this game is an auto mark-off. Okay, a guy like Alvin Kamara, Amari Cooper, Nick Chubb, and even David Njoku, I think are all very, very viable options to be very good one-off pieces this week. I'm not dying to get some correlation where I want Kamara from this side and Amari Cooper from this side, but this is a game to go get a nice one-off piece, and this game will score more. It may not score many points, but somebody in this game, DFS-wise, will score well enough to be in a lineup that could win a GPP. So do not just mark this game off. Go into this game and look at what pieces you like. For me, the obvious piece would probably be Nick Chubb or Alvin Kamara because those guys only know 2 games. It's either 12 points or 40 points. That's their only 2 options, and neither have had a 40-point game in a while. So, maybe one of those guys gets their 2 touchdown, 130 yards rushing, 5 catches, and 50 yards, and they just break the slate, right? You got to be aware of that. And a lot of people are just going to X this game out. And if you don't consider guys like Kamara and Chubb, and they're the ones that go ham tomorrow, literally 95% of lineups will be dead because they didn't have the nuts play from this game. Moving on, without question, everybody's favorite game tomorrow, and it makes a ton of sense. It's Kansas City at Seattle. The Chiefs have looked unbelievable. Their offense really seems to be rounding into form. And Seattle is the ultimate is good enough to push you, but not good enough to stop anybody team, right? So this game just reeks of shootout city. It's in Kansas City. Yes, it's going to be a little cold, but just normal Kansas City cold, right? Patrick Mahomes is a smash play. Patrick Mahomes to Travis Kelce seems to get there every week, no matter what. Juju Smith-Schuster seems to be a great play. You can see the optimizer absolutely loves him this week. The only problem with Mahomes, there's two problems you run into with Mahomes. The first one is, who the fuck do I stack him with? Because you got to consider Jarrett McKinnon. You got to consider Pacheco. You have to consider Valdez-Scantling. You have to consider McCole Hardman. You got to consider them all. There's a lot of guys. And to find the right two guys to stack him with gets really, really tricky. Furthermore, Patrick Mahomes stacks, specifically if you're running it with Kelce, get crazy expensive. And if you're being really smart, I think you should run it back with Metcalf. He's the nuts play tomorrow. Him or Goodwin make a lot of sense as a run back against the Chiefs tomorrow. Okay, because if you don't know, our boy Tyler Lockett's out, which gives a lot of value to the second wide receiver, which we're assuming Goodwin will probably fill that role most likely. But as you can see, the optimizer absolutely doesn't love him. And so because of that, it gets really expensive. And when there's no punt options on the slate, you really have to ask yourself, what do I do when there's no other options out there after I pay for an expensive Kansas City stack with an expensive DK Metcalf run back? And it gets tricky. I don't got the answer for you, Bob. It's your lineup. You're the one making it. So even though Mahomes is the best play on the slate, bar none, you have to ask yourself what that's going to do to the rest of your lineup. I think maybe the really sneaky play is here. It's just go the other way. Play the Geno side of it, which is going to be way less owned. And his options, his stackable options become very clear. I think you almost certainly want to have him with Metcalf. I think you want to consider Goodwin, Disley, and Noah Fant become the most obvious. But if you want to get really sneaky, you want to play this game because you know that this game's going to shoot out. Maybe you just come in here and play a piece of this game, hope you hit the right piece, and then go play a more affordable stack. And you know who that is? Kenneth Walker III. His success is really correlated to nobody else, right? So if he has a good game and they're running it and getting ahead and he's scoring 2 touchdowns and rushing for 120 yards, that's going to keep Kansas City's offense off the field. That's going to counterfeit Geno Smith and DK Metcalf. And Kenneth Walker is expected to play tomorrow. So if you think he's going to be healthy at 6,400, I think he's a smash play as a great vulture candidate to fuck everybody in this game. He's a guy that could go eat up all the usage in this game and really counterfeit everybody else while he's doing it. Something to consider. Is he going to do it? I don't know. If I knew that, I'd be a fucking millionaire, dude. All right, moving on. The other game that I really, really like, well, I like this one probably the most just because it's not as chalky, and it is the Giants and the Vikings. If you don't know, we have the second highest total by a mile, 48 points with the Giants in Minnesota. Minnesota is in the dome, so we're going to have perfect scoring conditions. Kirk Cousins has already shown when he gets ahead, he usually throws for 3 touchdowns in the first quarter and has a good game. And when he gets behind, he'll just break the NFL record for largest NFL comeback. So it seems almost like no matter what happens, Kirk Cousins seems like a very stackable option. But once again, it gets expensive. Justin Jefferson, stacking him with Justin Jefferson, stacking him with Hawkinson so you can't punt at tight end, and even Thielen. None of these guys are just pump prices, right? And if you do that, you're probably going to want to run it back with somebody like Saquon Barkley. He ain't cheap either, brother. So maybe the way to get into this game and be really, really tricky is, hold on, I'm going to throw up my mouth again. Yeah, Daniel Jones stacks. I know it sounds gross, but the good thing, I've always faded Daniel Jones stacks all year because I've said this about him. Daniel Jones can have GPP winning upside. The problem with Daniel Jones is we never know who to stack him with, but I think that is becoming more clear. I think Richie James has clearly emerged as his number one receiver, right? I don't even think stacking him with Saquon is that gross. Saquon catches plenty of passes out of the backfield, and they can both get there based on how cheap Daniel Jones is. Furthermore, you have Slayton, who I think is also very viable. Hodgins, who is very viable. And if you need a punt tight end, Bellinger also gets it done. And then the best part is you have tremendous run back options. You have probably my favorite run back option, Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook could break this slate. And for whatever reason, people never play Dalvin. Did you see him last week? The dude still looks electric. He doesn't look beat up like a dude at the end of the year. He is a guy that could break the slate. And the best part is he pairs beautifully with a Daniel Jones. I imagine it's like a wine and a pizza. I don't fucking drink wine, but I hear they pair nicely with shit. So there's that. Moving on, probably one of my favorite sneaky games is this one, the Cincinnati versus New England game. If you don't know, New England, they're kind of banged up. You're definitely going to watch Jacoby Myers and Ramondre Stevenson tomorrow. They could be inactive. I expect both of them to play. The optimizer tends to like both of them. Jacoby Myers is definitely their number one wide receiver. Ramondre Stevenson, he's just a fucking badass, okay? Boomer sooner. The guy gets it done, and even when he's banged up, he gets it done. I love Ramondre Stevenson. This has a great game environment. He's actually overpriced at $7,100 due to his injury designation, and a lot of people think that he'll get scripted out, but I'm telling you, Ramondre Stevenson doesn't get scripted out. Whether they're ahead or behind, he is always getting the motherfather ball, and that's all you really want to see. Now, am I going to tell you to consider a Mac Jones stacks? I mean, he's actually not that bad, okay? Because I think Cincinnati's going to push it. And if Mac Jones can ever get it together, this is one of those 28-27 type games that nobody's really considering. You run Mac Jones, you run a Jacoby Myers, and maybe just Ramondre Stevenson, that's it. And then run it back with Chase Higgins, Mixon, somebody like that, whoever's your favorite Bengal. And this could be a sneaky game that shoots out. It actually, believe it or not, has the third highest total, the implied total of all of the early games, right? And actually the fourth one highest on the whole afternoon, yet no one's going to consider this game. On the other side, I think a Joe Burrow stack even makes sense. Yes, it's expensive as shit, especially if you go Burrow, Chase, and Higgins, and then want to run it back with Ramondre. That gets really, really expensive. You're going to run into the same problem you run into with Mahomes stacks, but it is definitely something that is viable, okay? Maybe you do it. The problem is he just doesn't have any great pay down option. It does appear as though Hayden Hurst is going to be back, so at least that gives you a punt option at tight end, but he hasn't, are we sure that he's going to be completely healthy? And even if so, have we really seen him break his slate yet? I don't know if I love him in a stack. Washington and San Francisco, believe it or not, San Francisco is actually going to have one of the better weather games tomorrow. Problem is they play slow. Okay, I actually think a Brock Purdy stack is not the worst thing I've ever heard, just because I think cheap stacks are the way to go tomorrow. That's just how I'm going to build. You do whatever you want. But then you can stack him with Christian McCaffrey, and then, go stack him with Brandon Ayuk, who hasn't exactly been great. Go stack him with George Kittle, because if you don't know, Debo's still out. And with him still being out, that opens up a lot of usage across the board. McCaffrey gets it done on the ground and out of the backfield, so he's not necessarily, a bad complement to Brock Purdy. Furthermore, Terry McLaurin or Curtis Samuel are very viable run back options. I think Curtis Samuel at $4,400 is probably the best price-adjusted receiver on this slate, so he makes a lot of sense as a run back for them. On the flip side, I don't even know if I really hate a Tyler Heineke stack. You can see the optimizer doesn't love him, but once again, I'll tell you, I am sticking with the cheap quarterback stacks this week, and because of that, he has to at least be considered. He has Logan Thomas, he has Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, he has Johan Dotson, he has all kinds of stackable cheap options, and that's something I want. But let's finish on the game that I absolutely love the most, and it is this one. Philadelphia versus Dallas. If you don't know, Jalen Hurts is out. Probably, along with Mahomes and Allen, without question, the best fantasy quarterback this year. And he's in the holy trinity of them, right? But he's out. And so most people are going to say, well, I can't play that game now. Okay, why? Gardner Minshew is going to be starting for them. Gardner Minshew is not from some fucking slapdick we don't know about. He has had real runs of success in Jacksonville. Like 2 years ago when he played there, the worst team in the NFL, Jacksonville. If he can have success there, why don't we think he can have success with a team that's probably the favorite to go to the Super Bowl right now? Gardner Minshew can run a successful offense, especially when he has Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, A.J. Brown, all these tremendous players around him. They will be successful on offense. Oh yeah, Miles Sanders is the running back. Let's not forget him too, right? So not only do I think a Gardner Minshew stack is very, very viable, it actually makes me love a Dak stack. Nice rhyme. A Dak stack makes so much sense because Dak has been just teasing us with like these 22, 25-point games. He's just waiting for that 35-point monster. And when he has it, it's going to break the slate, obviously. And you're like, well, he can't do it against Philadelphia because they don't have Jalen. Or he could. Okay, maybe this is the game where Gardner Minshew leads the Eagles to 28 points, but Dak gets 5 touchdowns and the Cowboys score 38 points. Okay, so to me, this is the most stackable game, and here is the best part I can give you. If you're really playing the game and getting away from your stupid fucking picks, okay, this is a late game, and when it's a late game, that allows late swaps. So we get the advantage of watching the 8 early games because there's only 2 late games tomorrow, which really changes the strategy up. It really limits our options on what we can switch to. But if I go play, if I know that I want to play a Dallas stack in the afternoon, and then I have the backup to switch to a Minshew stack, that gives me one slightly chalky stack and one that no one's going to play. And so I go play weirder pieces in the earlier part of the day, right? I go play that Alvin Kamara. I go play that, Jamal Williams, these low-owned pieces. And if they go off, well, now I can go play that Dak stack in the afternoon and be pumped. You go play those weird pieces in the early part of the day, like Nick Chubb, and it doesn't happen. Well, now you still have Garner Minshew stacks available to switch to and still save your day. I absolutely love this game. It is it's only one of 2 afternoon games. It has the 3rd highest total on the slate, and I'm telling you, could be the game that breaks the slate. I love them both. You want my final hot take? What I'm going to end on? You got to wait just 1 second. Hey, go give me a follow on Twitter right here. You can't help but notice the big guy almost at 3,600. Help me get there, you motherfathers. Come check out my Patreon. Soon to have a website. What the fuck am I doing? How do I have a website? But it's coming. In the meantime, we're still doing Patreon. Come check it out. I have a huge Discord, hundreds of members. It is the best community you'll ever find. That I fucking promise you. And here is my final take. Are you ready? Are you ready? Look, I have my editor mock that up for me. You like that? That is Patrick Mahomes with a expensive face, okay? Patrick Mahomes is the best play on this slate tomorrow. He was without question the most stackable quarterback in the best game environment that you should definitely want to play. However, if you play Patrick Mahomes, what people fail to think of is what he does to the rest of your lineup. A Mahomes, Juju Smith-Schuster, Travis Kelce, and run back with DK Metcalf is such a juicy, astounding stack and run back. However, you have to remember this one thing. It isn't 4 guys that win you a GPP. It is a complete lineup of 8 guys. And when you play Patrick Mahomes in a very expensive stack, go look at what it does to the rest of your lineup. You basically end up playing 3 or 4 punts in that lineup. And how often do 3 or 4 punts ever hit in a lineup and lead to a winner? Hardly ever. So what I really encourage you to do is before you go hop on definitely the best play tomorrow and stack the shit out of him and Patrick Mahomes, I encourage you to think of what you want your whole lineup to look like. All 9 spots. I said 8. All 9 spots, right? Do it. And do not forget to remember that it takes all 9 spots to win a GPP and not just simply those 4 pieces you're playing from the Chiefs game. The last thing I want to add is for Mahomes to get there, he's basically going to have a 90 percentile. At that price tag with Kelce, with Juju, and a run back from DK, you need them all to be at a 90 percentile outcome to really get there to pay off those prices, because you're basically between those 4 guys going to need probably a minimum of 120 points. So I encourage you to consider that when making your lineup. It is not about a single stack. It's about what that stack does to your whole lineup, and this is why I keep preaching it's all about cheap stacks this week, because there are no pay down options. But hey, at the end of the day, it's your lineup. You play whoever the fuck you want. I'm just here to give you some things to think about. I hope you enjoyed that intro. Fucking Christmas music. I couldn't find the outro. So you know what? I think I'm just going to play my intro again. And I hope you enjoy it. Good luck tomorrow, you motherfathers.